and welcome back to my rusty RP-1 playthrough. We're trying to do the EVA thing one more time. So in the last unexported to YouTube episode, which lasted a few minutes, I decided, I checked and there's a Mercury window in a year and change, so we're not going to build a backup. And I was looking at Dolphin and the launch costs were kind of screwy, so I fixed that up some. So I think we're good to do the EVA. 31 days until that finishes. 51 days until that finishes. This is fairly cheap at the price, so I'm going to rush it a little bit. And we're going to launch Plankton a little bit before we launch Dolphin 3. What's our tech lines looking like? Right, I was going to change around capsule time so we can do a lunar orbit sooner rather than later. We want to do a docking. Those nodes are 6 days total. We can get lunar rated heat shields earlier. And bump these up. And I guess I'll have to install a mod that has Gemini or something. So now we're looking at, that's 210 days, 290, call it 300 days, then 150 days, 450 days, 120, 170, 240. Yeah, so hey guys, well, it's a weekend, so I can get started early. Yeah, so we're not at the point where we can confidently expect to do a lunar flyby in 2 years. Oh well. All right, let's save and go. That's complete. We're gonna roll it out to this pad. What? You're kidding me. Is it like 61 tons or something stupid like that? Yes, it is 61 tons. Lols. All right, well, let's, given we have way more delta V than we need, let's do a partial load. And that will take us under the limit. right, let's try that again. 134 days, and that's in 154 days, so we have a window of opportunity. So that's fine. All right, let's try this again. Yeah, Piano Josh, I agree. And it would be nice if that were the case, but that requires probably doing something like requiring KCT for all installs and then using homebrewed editor checks in KCT to do that. That said, how would you go about determining launch thrust? It's not a simple question. I mean, you could check everything that ignites in the first stage, but that will miss solids because they ignite in the next stage with the clamps. You could try everything that ignites until and first stage with greater than 1 TWR. Again, that could well be a first stage that's 1.01, and then the solids are in the next stage that boosted up to 2. So that's not safe. You could do it everything up until all the clamps have been fired, but you will still you still will not have control over solids with thrust curves, but it's probably a good enough proxy. It'll be within the margin of error. If the solid has its max thrust as actually its liftoff thrust. If it has its max thrust as its average thrust, then liftoff thrust will be higher. Anyway, we're going to roll this out now. It's rolled out. Now, I guess we can just warp until Dolphin is ready. And while it's rolling out, we'll launch Plankton. Okay. So now our astronaut complex is ready, so we can do EVAs. Yeah, we don't have $5 million. And who are we going to send? I think we are going to send, like, Bobby Carter, probably, to do the EVA. Maybe Edward Jennings. I don't know. At some point, we should hire some more people and start them training. Days. Oh, oops. I guess we're going to have to do a course correction. Let's do that. That's a fairly large fine tune. All right, we have decent solar exposure. Okay, let's look at Venus and burn the thing. Oh yeah, I forgot that RCS could throttle by definition. Pretty good. All right. Now let's add SOI alarm. Interesting. It appears that aphid 4 will arrive slightly faster than aphid 3. All right, so let's reorient towards the sun again. Oh, does this have the stupid persistent rotation bug again? Yes, it does. Persistent rotation is not working on you. Let's try reversing SAS. Nope, that also kills it. No, that actually did make it rotate. Yeah, so for some reason SAS support is inverted. Do not understand. At all. All right. I guess we'll fizz warp then, because we know that works. All right, that's fine. What happened to our... Close enough. And that means we need to redo that. And now we're slightly behind. Oh, oops. Oh, yep, now we're back to exactly where we were before. All right. Okay. Lol. All right, now let's finish Dolphin 3. And we're going to roll it out to pad able. Wait, that rollout cost is literally... That rollout cost is not what it... Why is that cost shown not the same as the VAB cost? Well, let's actually measure it. We're at, so it's going to take 7 days. Let's see what our maintenance costs per day are. 208. So we would expect 1,400 funds. So we would expect hang on. Yeah, 1414 plus 22,456, 23,870, 496,890 is what we would expect our funds to be after rollout completes. So let's verify it. So let's roll it out, and we're going to wait a couple days and then launch Plankton, and then wait a couple days and launch the other thing. I said 496 something, 496,890. All right, let's see what happens. All right, let's launch this filler. Okay. Where did my Delta V stats window go? That's confusing. Oh, it looks like our pumps filled us back up to full. Oops. Right. Well, and let's go to (200 by 200), which should hopefully stay up for the next few days, even though there isn't any orbital decay, so of course it will stay up for the next few days. Let's go. Oh, staging screwed. Heh, lulz. Staging is very screwed. All right, let's try that again. It expects 1465 remaining. Sounds implausible. I would expect about a kmsec remaining, but we'll see what we get. Oops. Shoot. What was this? I think it's supposed to be this. Ah yes, turn on RCS so that it's ready for when we stage. We are totes hot staging this thing because it's going to be a little crispy. Little crispy. Alright, that value is much more what I expected. Oh, I just realized I totally should have done this like GATV style and left the rendezvous thing attached to the upper stage. But, oh well. That was fairly smooth. That is an impressively big engine for an impressively small stage. Are those the actual dimensions of that engine? Yeah, I think that's a little, that engine is scaled a little big. Just a little bit. Yeah, it probably Should be about 2/3 that size. I don't know. Just a guess. Blowfish, yeah, basically every it's going to look almost identical to Delta K because Delta K looks very similar to the Delta E through whatever up until, I mean, Delta P was using the LMDE, I think, but the AJ10 variant, but I mean, it was, they just swapped out the engine, it was otherwise same stage. But yeah, basically, Able Star is broadly the same as Delta E, and Delta E is broadly the same all the way until Delta K. I mean, we can increase the dynamic pressure threshold, but what actually hits is the aerothermal flux, I think. But we'll see what happens next time. Piano Josh, yeah, they didn't stage until then, but I believe it's because of the heat requirement, not the dynamic pressure requirement. But we'll watch next launch. Yeah, you're right. That's screenshot worthy. That right there. All right. Coming up on insertion. And we cut off early again. But that's okay, because we have plenty of hydrazine to clean this up. Okay. So let's spin up. And away we go. Huh? That's a weird bug. Anyway. We now have a rendezvous target. I presume it was, yes. There's a weird thermo bug with the engines that I don't understand. I looked in Real Fuels and yeah, that was the real engines at AJ10 mid, but that's not what it happens to all engines. That thermo bug. And seemingly only engines, and yet I've looked at what Real Fuels and Solver do, and they don't add any fluxes, so I don't understand what the problem is. All right, let's launch. the next mission. Okay. 496. Yeah, so that price was correct. So, CMAV, if you're watching, there's something weird in the VAB again. Unless you're... No, I pulled... Yeah, it says launch cost, so your fixes are in. Yeah, so there's something weird with the VAB prices, which means I think that some of my balancing efforts may be screwed. Ah, blowfish, that could be it. Part of the stuff we do. But it's not the chamber exploding, it's the part temperature going too high. Like, it literally is part finding its temp higher than it should be. Anyway, let's launch this thing. So you know what I want to do? Oh, I can't do it now that it's rolled out. So I'll worry about launch cost later. So, I believe we picked Edward Jennings. Yes. Let's do Edward Jennings, who is going to do a rendezvous and an EVA. Here we go. Except, lulz, I forgot a certain very important fact. That this pod no longer supports EVAs. Oh dear. Was that tag pushed? I think that tag was pushed. I think I merged the changes that pushed that tag. So we will not be doing an EVA today. I mean, we can get out, we can't get back in. It supports EVA now because we're landed, but you watch. Once we get above 20 kilometers, we will not be EVAing. But we can at least complete the rendezvous. Excuse me, we can complete the rendezvous contract. That's an earthworm. Where's plankton? And we're going to launch to a phasing orbit of 200 by 800. There are airlock parts. Sorry, wait, I said Mike, not Rob's. I got confused because I was talking with Mike about other changes in RP-1 Dev Talk. Sorry, Robs. You get the credit for that. where is the thing we are trying to rendezvous with? So we're here, and it's over there. Oh, it's way over there, actually, because that's, for some reason, I didn't get set to debris correctly. It'd be wonderful if that hover over told you the period, but... You know what, let's go even higher. We'll at least get an altitude record from this. And have a high phasing orbit. Nominal staging event. Port tower jettison. Let's look. Yep, no EVAs for me. Lols. Shouldn't have picked that contract. Fixed which engine? Oh, this. Cool. That's great. That's super great. Pretty sure that's going to be an EVA, which we can't do. I mean, we could cheat ourselves out of the capsule using Science Alert, but we can't get back in because there is no hatch to get back into. And if I tried to EVA, it would say hatch is obstructed because it can't find a hatch. Alright, our relative inclination is quite solid. And there we go. Insertion. Arg! Alright, well, we used up our second ignition to do that. Alright. Now, let's get rid of all the things. And stabilize. And bioimpulsive transfer to target. What? That can't be right. Uh-oh, are we in trouble? Did I launch too high? No. Okay. I didn't think so. Yeah, it's only 237 meters per second to lower the... Alright, so why is it giving me bogus numbers on the... Alright. That's better. That's much more better. Separation 9.9 kilometers. Alright, that makes so much more sense. Oh yes, and we have a lunar landing coming up. I forgot about that. Venus flyby, Mercury flyby, Mars orbit. First rendezvous. First rendezvous completed, even though it... Alright. Whatever. We'll still do it anyway. That's in 3 hours, so let's go ahead and warp to the node. Although I do want to see if we're getting any solar power right now. We are. That's fine. Deactivate that, and let's warp to the node. Well, actually, let's warp until we get the altitude record. That gives us a little bit of money. Not as much as the EVA would. Alright, now let's warp to the node. No, I don't want to warp here. I want to warp to the... Alright, I guess we'll manually warp to the node. Warp to next maneuver. Alright. Let's execute. Right. Now let's fine-tune closest approach to target. 7.5 meters per second in 43 minutes. Okay. Now we'll burn this node. And yay, our rendezvous will be on the light side. That's excellent. So the RCS thrusters, I think, are the 69s, or maybe, yeah, they're the 69s. So there's 4 times 0.07, which is 280 newtons versus 2200 newtons. So about 10 times. 9 times? All right, separation. Why is that wrong? Why is KSP telling me intersect 1 separation 8? All right, let's do it this way. All right. Yeah, and Soyuz doesn't either. I mean, Gemini didn't either. It's just, I ain't got time for that. So I put some actual main engines on this. Oops, wrong way. All right. 2 meters per second in 3 minutes. Let's fine tune there. There we are. 200 meters, as requested. Match at closest approach. That is going to be an expensive maneuver, as expected. But it will still leave enough to do a reentry. Or it should do. And let's recall we have a little bit extra kick from the service module decoupling. Okay. So we want to burn about a minute and a half before. No, actually, we want to burn. When do we want to burn? That's a great question. About now, I think. And there's the target. Meanwhile, let me add orbit info, target, closest approach distance. Yeah, you'd have to do it over multiple passes probably with if I were trying to do this on RCS. It's going to be tight. Yeah. Not sure I really want to expend quite this much delta V. But I think we'll be okay. Forgot about the steering losses. Yeah, we're only going to have like 40 meters per second in the tank. So we're going to come by at a nice 38 meter per second clip because I want to leave a little reserve. Okay. So let's wave to the cute little Sputnik. And there it goes. All right, so we want to do that. Yeah, so, all right, I guess I maybe could have killed off the rest of the speed, but it would have been a very close run thing. So I'm glad I had these reserves. Anyway, let's go home. All right. Now we should need to leave about 10 meters per second to orient. Happily, we are going to come in over water and in the light, so that all worked out fine. All right, so that didn't leave a great deal of margin, but that's okay. Let's go home. Oops. Okay. I do have an aesthetically pleasing arrangement of orbits. It's true. Looks like somebody tried to peel the Earth. All right. Speed things up a little bit because ain't nobody got time for this. We'll set up a little bit of spin because why not? All right. Back to slewing all around. Yeah, I mean, the shoots are probably not going to burn up, so it's about 80% role-playing / aesthetic, but they might get a little hot without that. Like, eventually, hopefully, it will be the case that you need to do that. I did do some tweaks such that things don't get totally shielded. And maybe we add module reentry rated to literally every part or something. I don't know. But, oh, the parachute is ridiculously high temp. So, yeah, just RP reasons. All right, now we're actually coming into reentry. See how high the G loading gets. Shouldn't be as high as the previous reentries. We're coming from a higher orbit, but also a higher perigee. .5. Are we going to hit 0.6? Just barely. Yep, 7.6. So about the same as prior reentries. Okay. Subsonic, let's pop some shoots. Well, arm some shoots. No, so PAP is currently looking at the downrange contracts. That's the only thing that needs a little tweaking, but otherwise you can start a new career. If you ignore them, then you should be fine starting a new career. So issue Herkert, that's correct for Mercury. Mercury hit about 9 Gs. Their reentries were quite steep because it lowers the total heat load if you have a steep reentry. Increases the G load, and increases the peak flux, but it lowers the total heat load. And they were much more concerned with total heat load. I mean, if you have a high enough G reentry and a low enough ballistic coefficient, you can get away without any ablator at all. You just have a heat sink, and that was what the suborbital Mercury capsules had, and that's what the early missile RVs and the Corona photo return RVs had. It was just a heat sink. And then the next generation Warhead RVs and Mercury had actual ablators. And there's the crew hatch again, because we're under 20 kilometers. But, yeah. All right. The drogue goes wide. The main goes out. No. And the drogue gets cut. Yeah, we need to model the fact that your orientation is lying down, so it shouldn't cause you to black out. I mean, of the 7, my favorites remain Glenn and Wally Schirra by far. Like, Shepard was a bit too full of himself. Like Gus Grissom was a really hard worker and treated poorly by history. Nobody remembers Scott Carpenter. And Gordo Cooper was probably had the most impressive flight of the original 6 who flew for sure. Yeah, but I personally like Glenn and Wally the best by far. Almost there. Okay. Splashdown. Well, that's some fairly crazy pitching. But we still count as splashdown, so let's take our victory and go home. I mean, they were pulled from broadly the same sort of pool as the NACA test pilots and the U.S. Air Force test pilots. I mean, like, yeah, you go for test pilots, you're going to get that sort of person for sure. All right. On leave and retirement did not change significantly, if memory serves. This is probably good for the universe that Chuck Yeager never went to space. The universe probably could not have survived it. All right. We got some money. $150 million. How long do we have on this? Not very long. So, oh right, because I took it because the tags hadn't been pushed yet, and I remember saying that in that episode. But the tags have now been pushed, so I'm kind of out of water, and we can't cancel it because it's a milestone, and we've already spent the advance. All right, let's look at what we actually need to get Gemini. Second generation capsules requires advanced capsules material science. And we already have that. But I think it requires probably improved flight control. So let's beeline that. Capsules material science. And then second generation capsules are down here somewhere. All right. Although I think what actually might be worth doing, does it not? To me that looks, oh yeah, no, you're right. It's just, probably doesn't, but it's still probably worth getting. Because we'll have to fly it with hydrazine and we'll want better performing hydrazine for that. How long would it take to get early docking? $71 days. So 60, 70, 70. That's cutting it fine already. How long do we have? 1960, July 5th. It is September 5th. 10 months. All right, I think what I will actually do then is just cheat unaccept the contract and take away the 600,000 of the advance, because I accepted that contract back before the thing was pushed and I forgot the implications of pushing it. I explicitly, and I think I said in the episode that soon I'll not be able to do that, but I was going to do that anyway. Because, like, that just doesn't make much sense. So we'll actually do the first deviate later. I could fly it with the lower grade hydrazine, in which case it would only take 140 days. But do I really want to fly a capsule without a test flight? The other thing I might do is have a part upgrade for the Mark 1 capsule that you can buy that removes that module, such that you can EVA from it. And that's fairly easy to code. But I think it's better to just undo the thing and go back to business as usual. So I will do that. So I guess you all got to wait a little longer for an EVA, and we'll be down to only $86 million, which is not great. So I'll have to pick another contract to give me lots of money. We can, however, scrap this. and queue up a lunar lander, which I want to do on the cheap, but I will do that next episode because it's lunchtime. So I will all see you all later, probably today, maybe tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.